Hi, welcome back and thanks for watching. Today I'm going to give you a tutorial and a review using my Coastal Scents 252 Ultimate Eyeshadow Palette. I finally broke down and got it. I have to admit that as much as I love all of the reviews that we get on the internet and all the cross-section of opinions that one can collect just from watching people's reviews online, number one, it can get overwhelming, but number two, you don't always know who's sitting on the other side of the camera and what their experience is. I mean, you don't know my experiences either, honestly. But I find that sometimes I'll find reviews that are gushing, maybe even a lot of reviews that are gushing about various products. And then when I go and try them myself, I'm like, oh, I don't understand why these people like this so much. That's especially when it comes to eyeshadows. Sometimes people will really rave about various drugstore brands or cheap lines of makeup and get excited and say that they think it's comparable to high-end brands. I don't always know what they mean by that. When I try them, sometimes the results are really patchy and I don't know what high-end brands exactly they think they're comparing them to. So Coastal Scents I kind of put on the back burner of something that I eventually wanted to try for myself. I'd heard so many great reviews, but it's so cheap that it's kind of hard to believe that anything good can really come of it, and that maybe the people who were sampling it and who were loving it just hadn't really had experience with true high-end makeup. Well, color me surprised, because I finally got it in and I cannot believe how this little thing, which I got on sale for I think 25 bucks, the 252 palette, has such incredible pigmentation, lasting power, goes on well. You know, it's not the creamiest of eyeshadows, but it's not the super flaky fallout crap that you often get. Like, I find Wet n Wild really falls out very easily, for instance, as a drugstore brand. And 252 colors in this guy. So really, there's almost no color in here that is not represented. So it's done in 3 different little trays that nest in. Let me see if I can show you this a little bit. There are other videos that are probably going to give you a better shot of this, but here you go. So this is the palette, and they each have their own little plastic sleeve over the top of it to help keep any loose powder from getting intermingling with the other colors. And there's this little ribbon off to the side, and you can pull on the ribbon and it reveals the next layer of colors. So you can see this one was all kind of reds and yellows and browns. And then we have blues and greens and cooler colors in my second layer. Of course, you can rearrange these any way that you want. And then the final one has a cross-section of pastels, so it's anything, you know, kind of comes, let me take the plastic off so you can see a little better. Comes across from kind of smoky grays into blues, pinks, purples, all the way up turquoise, all the way across the row here, okay? So, a tremendous cross-section of colors. In fact, the only complaint that I have as far as the colors that are not represented, in my opinion, are good, like, flesh tone neutrals. Some of their most neutral, warmer tones tend to be a little bit too gray or are sparkly. And I don't necessarily always want them sparkly, so like, let me see. And here they have some whites and some grays, and the one that's closest to kind of a skin tone color right here, in my opinion, is a shimmer, right? And then we come down to the other end, and we have some whites, again, that are shimmer whites and yellowish whites up in here. So that's really the only thing that I feel is missing for me. I certainly have plenty of those in other palettes, but as far as if I were going to just take this, you know, if I were going to get ready for a performance or to help a friend with makeup or what have you, I don't feel that I could just take this palette without also taking a palette of neutrals. So like, here's my super cheap ass CD case of neutrals. There you go, as ghetto as it gets, right? I just put in some magnetic paper in the back of this, and then I put some of my most used neutrals into this case so that I can just keep it on my desk. Anyway, so I have a couple different flesh tone neutrals that I keep in here, specifically for instances where I just want to put on maybe a base layer of color on the eye, or for correcting fallout, or, you know, kind of a loose powder situation in other parts of my face. So I would bring this as well as this, but with these two together, I would cover a lot of ground, and have pretty unlimited creative options in here. It's been really fun. I've been having a lot of fun playing with it. The other thing that I thought, you know, I thought that part of the reason why it was so cheap was just because the little the shadows themselves are so tiny. These are about a dime sized holes. Right? Let me see if I can give you something to compare this to. All right, so here's like a lipstick case, right? And it's smaller than even a lipstick case. Compared to, say, you know, MAC or Makeup Geek or one of the others where, you know, by comparison, much larger than that. I hope you can see that okay. With plenty of product and nice deep pans. These are shallow pans and very tiny. But frankly, I didn't get this because I thought that every one of these would be my favorite color in the world, and I wanted a bunch of it. I wanted a very little bit of a whole lot of colors so I can kind of experiment with color and play with different looks. And then if there's any of these that I fall in love with, I can either dupe them in a higher end brand if that's a way that I so choose to go, or they also sell pans of their own color on the website. So, if you want to expand your collection, if you want to expand your creative options, I really, really highly recommend the Coastal Scents 252. And right now, at the time that I'm making this video, it may not be true by the time it gets posted or by the time you watch it, the 252 is selling at the same price as the 120 palette. So they have an 88 palette, a 120 palette, and a 252 palette. And I was torn between the 80 and the 120 just because I wanted to sample, and then when I found out that the 252 was on sale for the same price as the 120, I was sold and grabbed it right away. And I'm really glad that I did. So now the question is, I didn't really think about what particular look I want to go for today to show off the versatility of the palette. So let me just give this a look-see. I think I'm gonna do a blue and gold look. Yes, that is what I shall do, blue and gold. So I'm gonna draw from both the Cool palette and the Warm palette so that we get a good cross-section. You can kind of see how these colors are represented and how pigmented they are, and we get a nice colorful finish on there. How does that sound?
They focus on